It's Tuesday, the 23rd of November, and the last day of my November mission to Brazil. I'm in Sao Paulo, waiting to catch my plane home tonight. So I thought I'd just say a few words about the mission. Wonderful time it's been. Great to be back in Brazil after such a long time due to the COVID travel restrictions. Well, I arrived on the 12th of November in Sao Paulo, stayed overnight, and then went up to another city called Niterói, very close to Rio de Janeiro. And there I met with a number of people, including José Roberto, the pastor who is in charge of the Sword of the Spirit here in Brazil, especially in the state of Rio. José Roberto is a wonderful leader and has developed many students, raised many teachers, and so there are now Sword of the Spirit schools in several churches in Niterói, and then also in another state in the city of Recife, there are other schools. And then again in Rio State, there is a very lovely school in a beautiful city called Nova Friburgo. And this is modeled on a Swiss city, a Swiss town, and it's way up in the mountains, very cold and chilly up there, but quite remarkable. They have a wonderful ministry. It's called Ponto Church, and they are young. They meet in a converted nightclub, which is all now wonderfully sanctified, but a great place for church services and inviting the community. And there, on the Saturday night, I graduated 12 students from the current round of the Sword of the Spirit training, and then inaugurated a new set of students as the cycle continues. It was a great time on the Sundays, time of celebration, a Holy Spirit meeting. There were tremendous signs and wonders and words of knowledge. It was a word of knowledge for a woman who was depressed and she was having difficulty sleeping, and she would sleep on one side of the bed with her back to the other side, and it was clear from the picture that I received of her that she'd been abandoned and forsaken, and she was so depressed she couldn't come to the meeting, but she did watch online, and at that point she heard her situation being described and was greatly encouraged. Tremendous time of fellowship with Isaac Prado, the pastor there. And then I made my long way down the mountain, right across to the Rio airport, in order to spend one more day in Sao Paulo before returning home. But there was a surprise invitation. An old IBIOL student of 1993 by the name of Leffy. And he was in Sao Paulo for a missions conference which took place last week, and happened to be giving his testimony of how in 1993, that must have been one of my very early visits to Brazil, I singled him out of a congregation, prayed for him, and prophesied, apparently, that he'd be coming to London. And it seemed really a far-fetched thing because he was well established in Sao Paulo, a young man doing very well. But God led him to London, and in 7 months after that, he came to IBIOL. And he was one of the many graduating students and part of the alumni, growing alumni of IBIOL. And it's wonderful to see how God has used IBIOL down through the years. And it's something that we should be very proud of and praise God for in Kensington Temple, the ministry of IBIOL. It's touched many people, many nations. Anyway, this story, I'll tell you more about it another time. He was giving his testimony in Sao Paulo at his brother's church, which is called Torre Forte, Strong Tower, a very strong missions church as well. And during this missions conference, he was sharing his testimony of how God touched him in Sao Paulo, and he went to London. And then shortly after that, he saw from social media that I was actually in Brazil. So he contacted me and invited me to speak in his brother's church. It was an extra meeting for me, coming back from a 3 a.m. start on Monday, traveling right down hours and hours from the mountains, waiting for planes, getting to Sao Paulo. Just really would have liked a quiet night to relax, but I felt it was important to go to this meeting. And they put an extra meeting on. their conference had finished, but because I was available on the Monday, they said, stay over and preach. Well, I'm glad I did. It was a powerful meeting, and I have some footage of that, which I'm sure you catch also on my Instagram stories. Anyway, I want to say this young man was so encouraging. 27 years ago, not so young now, but vibrant. God has used him powerfully all over the world as an evangelist. He has traveled all over Brazil, taking conferences and evangelistic crusades. He's also gone to Korea, South Korea, many times, and to Japan. Maybe that's the Japanese link that people have been prophesying about. I don't know. But I thought it was encouraging to Michelle Bennett and to all the staff, present and past, the lecturers at IBROL, to Kensington Temple people that want to continue to minister to the nations, London and the world for Christ. Yeah, our missions are our life, and we are so pleased that God can give us the opportunity to see the fruit that has taken place. So I will post this and give you more and more information as we continue. So in the meantime, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you in London.